of day-to-day operation, financing, human resource, and marketing. Their growth and profile become extremely strenuous because of lack capital, competency, and technology capability, as well as business informality and taxing bureaucracy. In addition to MSMEs in ASEAN also need to tackle gender disparity. Women have a small probability of owning business or obtaining credit access more than men. Women tend to resort to private funds to finance their business. Coping with this challenge and supporting to the recovery MSME post-pandemic, demanding a coordinated strategy, coordinate between us, Indonesia, and other countries, that we need to collaborate formulating policies to broaden their financial access and build their capability. The spirit of collaboration is reflected in this year's term, Asian Matters Epicenter of Growth. Indonesia is determined to preserve the significance and relevance of ASEAN for the future of the people. Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, MSMEs growth, resilience, and sustainability are essential for the ASEAN economy. Their development also brings positive effect of the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal, no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, gender equality, industry innovation and infrastructure, reduce inequality and responsible for production and consumption. As entities that provide that 80% of employment of ASEAN contribute 35 to 89% of GDP and 80% of national export. It means that MSE contribute quite big in the GDP and national export. MSME in ASEAN will grow significantly along with the development of the technology and e-commerce, considering the Southern Asia in a global hub for digital financial service and commerce platform, the extensive digital economic population that reached $100 million in 2019, climbing to $300 billion in 2045. The realization that growth potential must be supported by collaboration and strategy among ASEAN member states. Commitment to support the ASEAN member states to improve financial access and SME capacity, including digital literacy, are vital to achieving. That means that two things. First, the finance access and the digital financial literacy are vital to the achievement the Sustainable Development Goal. Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the seminar under the Working Committee of Financial aim to share insight, experience, good practice, as well as showcase policy program, product, and service to promote digital financial inclusion and literacy. Taking into account the condition of MSE in ASEAN post-pandemic and the demand for future good, inclusiveness, competitiveness, and sustainability, we would like to ask you to contemplate we need to establish a formal institution, the ASEAN Micro and Small Enterprise Financing Institution. We call it in AMSEF. AMSEF, the one kind of institution, especially give loan to the micro and small business. The AMSEF will facilitate the achievement of ASEAN strategy target by accelerating the scaling up MSME, reducing their informality, bolstering competitive and export-oriented MSME to gain collaborative incentive, increasing the non-bank financing capitulation, broadening MSME credit access, which eventually will reduce the government financial burden, and supporting a sustainability, including economy based on the green economy and gender mainstreaming. The initiative required input, suggestion, and ownership from the ASEAN member state and all stakeholders. We appear that policy integration for MSE at the regional level with the beneficial to achieve ASEAN strategic target. As not in the ASEAN way, embrace the pride on our heart. ASEAN, we are bonded as one. Look in out to the world. I would like to you to delegate and stakeholder here to take firm united action for the betterment of MSME in ASEAN. Once again, thank you for allowing me to present my remarks. Welcome to second day of promoting high-level dialogue, financial inclusion, and literacy. I look forward for fruitful discussion, especially for initiative for the AMSEF. Then hopefully this institution can make us better. My God bless you. Go SME, sukses for ASEAN. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Santi Santi Om.
Thank you so much to Bapak Dr. Julius. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, as we know, in Indonesia itself has experienced a great leap forward in financial inclusion over the last 10 years with high public access to financial services and also a quality financial inclusion. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just about the vision, what the vision sees, but it's also about what the vision does. Therefore, we would like to hear now a visionary speech which will be delivered by the Financial Services Institution Supervision's Department Head of the Indonesia Financial Services Authority of Indonesia. This is Bapak Triyono Gani.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, good morning. May peace be upon us all. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Honorable Bapak Julius, Deputy Micro Enterprises Ministry of Cooperatives and SMEs, certainly Pak Adi Budiarso, Director of Center for Financial Sector Policy, Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia, and my other colleagues from Ministry of Finance, the speakers and moderators, and not to mention my also colleagues from OJK, Honorable Association representatives and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, both attending in person and virtually. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for having me in this very prominent occasion. This is very important event, I believe, and I'm very glad to share our experience with all the colleagues from ASEAN countries, and then certainly for who else really interesting in the adapting of technology for increasing the financial inclusion. I have a very limited time allocated, so I will be very brief and very concise. Let me start by saying the challenges that we are facing. First of all, Indonesia is aiming to have a 90% of financial inclusion rate in 2024. This is the direction that's stated by the President of Indonesia. And the second challenge would be a very huge gap between this financial literacy and also the financial inclusion level. I think this can be translated into so many meaning, because if we see that the inclusion level is a very huge gap with the literacy, means that the utilization of financial services is still very, very low. And then the last challenges would be the number of MSME which should be involved in this very huge digital economy is very, very huge in number as well. I think we can also differentiate between the productive MSME and non-productive MSME. So many figures and statistics on how many they are, but I can mention around 16 million that regarded as the productive MSME. So those are the challenges that we are facing, and I believe that without adopting of adequate technology, it will be very difficult to achieve those goals. So we try our best to facilitate the innovation and the adoption of technology with so many use cases that come into our regulatory sandbox, and try to support the achievement of the financial inclusion level. And then if we see so many use cases that we have already put in the slides, according to the regulatory system, or maybe I can also start with the regulatory system, regulatory framework that we have already set up. We have already set at least three regulations. First, we have issued the regulation on P2P lending, and the second would be the securities crowdfunding, and third would be the innovation at large. We talk about the P2P lending, the number is very increasing, and this year the growth has been around 64% growth. So I think it is quite huge development and also growth of the P2P lending, and we also proud that the quality of our portfolio is also very good, with very below 5% NPLs. And then we also see that the numbers of fintech who are participating in the securities crowdfunding is also increasing. Now it's around 15 companies opening the services on the securities crowdfunding. And the last would be some providers that can also facilitate to increase the access of MSME into the financial sector. I can say that it is very impossible for financial literacy to increase, because it is very, very difficult to reach. We understand that Indonesia is a very archipelagic country, and also widespread from the west into east. I think it is very difficult to touch and also to serve without using of technology. That's why we also have a digital financial literacy program. This is very unique and also designed for Indonesian specific market. And we also invent the methodology for digital financial literacy program using the gamification of the use case. So we do not only having the ebook and the printed materials and also the digital format, but we also form digital financial literacy using the gamification. So we believe that all the millennials and also the MSME and early adopters would love to learn about the risks of dealing with the digital financial activities, because I believe that those will come into folds. The first will be the benefit, and the second will be the risk. Next, please. So I can see that this is the hurdles that can be solved using the digital financial services. We believe the first strategy for us is try to open the access and try to define who are all the players, because with limited information in the MSME, it is very difficult to give access for them to the financial sector. And even most of them do not have adequate reporting and also the system and also the numbers. So by utilizing the digital footprints, we believe that they can be very easily to be accessed by the financial institution. I think those are the main strategy that we are now applying, and hopefully it could be also shared with some other countries in the ASEAN. And we are very open for any other thoughts and also discussion. I believe that in the future forum, we can talk about this very deeply. And I believe that after my speech, there will be a very deep discussion on this matter. So with that, I would like to close my speech and have a good discussion, and good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much to Bapak Triyono Gani. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was the opening sessions of our workshop, and now we will continue to the main part of this workshop. Of course, we will start the workshop sessions itself. We will have 2 workshop sessions, and it will be led by the same moderator, and I believe it will be a very interesting and also fun sessions, as we recognize that most of the participants as well as the moderators are millennials, so I'm sure that we're going to have a very interesting and fruitful sessions during this workshop. And so without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's just start the first workshop session that will talks about enforcing financial awareness to the ASEAN SME communities. Without further ado, please welcome on the stage. This is our millennial moderator for this morning, Ms. Prima Desita from Bersama Indonesia. Moderator, time is yours.
Phew, thank you. Thank you for mentioning that I'm a millennial moderator. It's very important to highlight. Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to send my greet to distinguished guests this morning. Welcome, Deputy of Micro Enterprises, Ministry of Cooperatives and SMEs, Dr. Julius, sir. Department Head, Financial Services Institution Supervision, Indonesia Financial Services Authority, Bapak Triyono Gani. Selamat pagi, Pak. Director of Center for Financial Sector Policy, Bapak Adi Budiarso. Selamat pagi. Head of Research Center for Cooperative Cooperations and People's Economy National Research and Innovation Agency, Bapak Irwanda Wisnu. And last but not least, Assistant Deputy of Macro Business Financing, Ibu Irene Swasuryani. Terima kasih. Okay, today we will have 2 sessions with very amazing speakers for all business owner, micro, small, medium enterprises that in the room and also joining virtually. For my introductions, I am Prima Desita. I'm from Bersama. Bersama is an ecosystem enabler that enable discussion, cross stakeholders, collaborators to provide discussions and implement solutions for Indonesia. The micro, small, and medium enterprises play an important role to the economic development of ASEAN member states, including Indonesia. MSMEs are able to absorb 35 to 97% of workforce and hugely contribute to the gross domestic product around 35 to 69%. MSMEs in the ASEAN region, however, are still facing various challenges, including lack of access to capital, access to potential market, as well as access to digital infrastructure. During the Indonesian ASEAN Chairmanship 2023, Indonesia's Ministry of Finance, Indonesia's Financial Service Authority, and Central Bank of Indonesia are working together under the Working Committee of Financial Inclusion to formulate the policy framework to solve the challenges. This is the reason why I'm sitting here and I'm going to invite all my speakers to prepare, because we're going to have a very fruitful discussions. For my first speaker, I have Mr. Yuriko Billy. He is a head of community development. Boleh dicoba di Digital Indonesia. And for the theme for the Mr. Yuriko Billy will be community understanding new market through community development and tech applications. I would like to invite Mr. Yuriko to have a stage. Thank you. And my second speaker, Ms. Patsian Low from Singapore. It's a Vice President Inclusive Impact and Sustainability of Visa. And she will be discussing knowledge and skill building for MSMEs in ASEAN's digital economy. Please. And for my third speaker, she will join us virtually, Ms. Nuraiza Samsul Baharin, CEO of Medcash Malaysia, crowdfunding strategies in fundraising and financial inclusivity. Is she joining us already? Okay. We will start the discussion while we're waiting for Ms. Nuraiza to join us. Oh, hi, Nuraiza. How are you? What time is it in Malaysia?
Fine, thank you. Same time, same time.
Same time with Bali. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. For my first speaker, Mr. Yuriko, pardon me. I would like to have you introduce us to community as the ecosystem enabler for, of course, MSMEs, and also how it drives or facilitates financial literacy. Please.
Okay, hi everyone. It's a huge stage. I'm kind of nervous here. So my name is Yuriko Billy. As Mbak Prima kindly introduced me before, I'm head of community development from Boleh Dicoba Digital. It's a small digital agency from Bandung. We cover like 700 clients already, so 700 MSME as our friends. Okay, that's so kind. We handle almost like 12 million USD for their advertising budget. So it's a lot of money came from these MSME, and they make the economy like circulating, right? So I was doing a little bit of research before about what is the hardest thing about being entrepreneur. So some of them say like, okay, product management, and then like market research and stuff. And then I asked them about like, what about finance? And they were like, that's scary. So when Pak Triono said like there are like 6 problems that was faced by the MSME, the younger entrepreneur, Pak, we're just scared of finance. Like it's not only about the literacy, it's not only about the opportunity. We're just like, I don't know, we're like allergic about finance. It's kind of scary. It's kind of like very administrative and problematic. And maybe younger entrepreneur were like, can we just like not talk about finance? However, we do know that finance like help our business. It guide us in terms like business proposal, business models. It's all about finance, numbers, figures. Like there is no point of us making business if we're not talking about the numbers, right? The money, the impact. Everything is about finance. So in the community itself, we are desperately needing the financial literacy, obviously, but we just like, we need to be more friendlier, I think, about how we like perceive finance instead of making it like the scariest monster under our bed. Can we like make finance become our friends? Because as I mentioned before, it guides us through the business process. Business is crazy, but then finance is what make us grounded, if I can say. like we are too fired up about like making products, like making cool things, playing around the ideas, and then finance make us like just stay in the ground, like do things slowly and stuff. So I think besides the opportunity, besides like doing market expansion, finance keep us grounded at the very first place.
Okay, thank you. Actually, for my second speaker, to bridge this scary thing about finance and about digital transformation, basically, Visa has some programs, right, for Ibu Berbagi Bijak and all custom and tailor-made program that provide by Visa to tackle this the problems. Can you tell us more about that?
I'm happy to do that. Thank you very much. And good morning, Excellencies, distinguished panelists and guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for having us here. I would like, if you permit me, to share a short presentation. And I believe the organizers may already have it. And I'm happy to set the stage with some of the work that we do with that information.
Please do.
So while that's getting set up, maybe I'll share a little bit about my thoughts as an opening remark, if that's okay with you. Thank you. So as my job role in the company implies, I and the rest of my colleagues are responsible for bringing Visa's purpose to life so that we can uplift everyone, everywhere in the digital economy. And earlier on, we have heard that across ASEAN and in fact around the world, we have seen that the digital economy has been growing exponentially, in no small part pushed by the fact that we have come through a long and protracted period of the pandemic. So, but yet we know that even before the pandemic, there had already been efforts to look at financial literacy, skills building for MSMEs to better include them in the digital economy, and we know that the pandemic had accelerated much of that progress. So post-COVID, we have seen quite remarkable progress. The World Bank's Financial Inclusion Index had measured that approximately 71% of adults in emerging Asia-Pacific have access now to a bank account or a digital account. So that is definitely good progress for us. On the other hand, though, you can see that about 59%, if I'm not wrong, have undertaken at least one digital transaction. So, 57%, thank you so much for flashing my slide up on the screen. 57% have transacted digitally, which is almost double what it was approximately 10 years ago. So that's definitely good progress. And we also know that, you know, from a gender equality perspective, that 39% of women have received digital payments as well, albeit not as much of an improvement compared to 10 years ago. So the good news is that we are seeing that level of progress. However, if you look at the remaining percentages who are not met, then you can actually see that about 40% or more of the emerging markets adults that are already having access to a digital or a banking account are not yet transacting digitally. So what this tells us is that even though there are still 1.4 billion who are unbanked and we have to continue to serve them, for those who are banked and have access to the financial system, the digital financial system, they are not yet actively participating in it. So in other words, you have the tools and you have access to the system, but you are not taking advantage or engaging in the economic potential of the system. Next slide, please. Talking about the access by women and gender equality, they also face disproportionate challenges. The statistics here on the slide I will not repeat, but I will call out that for many of the MSMEs that are run by women, the statistics do show that worldwide there is 320 billion of unmet financing needs by women SMEs in our economy today. That being said, our studies have also shown that women-run MSMEs who in the vein of our visionary remarks earlier that pointed out the importance of digital transformation, Women-led firms who have experienced higher revenue growth are also more likely to undertake digital transactions and utilize digital tools. They would use digital payments, they would sell on global marketplaces, and they would also diversify into export markets. So the importance of addressing gender equality cannot be overlooked when it comes to the progress towards building skills for MSMEs. Next slide, please. So when we think about how do we build skills and how do we advance knowledge for MSMEs, we have to take a slight step back and look at in what way will skills building and knowledge building play a role in advancing digital financial inclusion. And our research with development providers, development service providers, as well as experts around the world have shown us that there are basically 3 key factors that can help us extend not only the access to digital technologies, but move the MSMEs into financial and economic participation. And those 3 factors are opportunity, skills, and trust. If you allow me to speak a little bit about all 3. By opportunity, we mean that we are providing access. We, as I mentioned earlier, the ability and the identity as well as access pathways to the digital financial ecosystem. By skills, we mean the improvement of their financial literacy, their knowledge of the financial system, the ability to run their businesses in a digital economy, and also the understanding of what it is like to be doing business and transact in a digital economy, knowing when to take care of themselves, knowing how to be able to take advantage of the opportunities presented to them. And then by having that kind of skill and knowledge, we'll be able to build trust so that they feel secure and confident in participating. They do not feel that they don't know where their money is. They do not feel that they cannot be safe and transact safely to grow their business and grow their incomes while they're in a digital economy. So between building opportunities, providing opportunities, building skills, we can build trust, and that can lead us towards more engagement and participation, which is what digital financial inclusion is about. Next slide, please. So I won't spend too much time talking about this, but I'll just quickly say that we have been working very much now with many different partners around the world, especially also in this region within our colleagues here in Asia Pacific and in ASEAN, to drive more purposeful and innovative and effective approaches to financial education and business upskilling among the MSMEs. We have had over 30 years of financial education history around the world, working with over 96 million people since 2012. We now also have been making great progress to realize our commitment to digitally empower 50 million small and micro businesses around the world. And our resources to support the MSMEs are available in 19 languages and 46 countries and territories worldwide. Next slide, please. We have 2 sets of tools. One is called Practical Money Skills, which is about building the financial literacy and knowledge of personal and individual money management. Now, one may say that's about personal, not necessarily about business, but we also know that in the MSME context, sometimes individual and personal finance and their business activities are very, very closely integrated. So in many cases, in many of our programs here, especially in Indonesia, we do bring both personal and business management resources to the MSMEs as well. Next slide, please. Here is a bit of information about what we do in Practical Money Skills. I won't go through it in detail, and I welcome participants online and physically here to take a look at our content and our resources after this session. Next slide, please. Here are some programs that we have already run in the ASEAN region that have leveraged on practical money skills. Ibu Berbagi Bijak, as you mentioned earlier on, is one of our signature programs in Indonesia, working with women that are aspiring or already are running their own businesses so that they have better skills to navigate the digital economy and grow their businesses in a digital economy. And we're very glad to have been supported by Bank Indonesia and OJK in our programs here to date. We also have partnerships in Philippines and Vietnam, targeting, especially since we're talking about millennials and younger, youth entrepreneurs and also young people who are looking at entrepreneurship as an opportunity to grow their economic opportunity as well. Next slide, please. So when we're talking about, though, more specifically with the skills that MSMEs need to start, to run, and then to grow their businesses, we have another suite of content called Practical Business Skills. And Practical Business Skills is a very adaptable and modular way for us to support the needs of MSMEs when it comes to learning how to navigate the digital economy. Next slide, please. You can jump ahead to the next one. Thank you. Here's how we have been working with different partners and to drive impact with MSMEs. And we work with not only development partners, we also work with government agencies, we work with private sector partners in order to bring this about. We make sure that our resources are available to the MSMEs in the broadest platforms possible. So for example, in Indonesia, we have partnered with Kadin to support the national commitment to upskill MSMEs digitally. And our resources will soon be available on the MSME Wiki that they have made available for us for many of the MSMEs around the country. Secondly, we make sure that we can offer the kind of content in a self-paced and live learning programs option, which we are currently building out in partnership with a local learning provider in Indonesia as well. We also recognize that while we're talking about the digital economy, many of the learning cannot only just happen digitally. So there are also physical and in-person engagements and workshops with up-and-coming entrepreneurs in many areas. Ibu Berbagi Bijak is an example of how we have been able to bring that around. We continue to look at digital learning resources that can be partnered up with community organizations that are in remote areas because they may not have the access to what is available to entrepreneurs that are in the urban centers. We work at industry verticals as well, because MSMEs that are in a very important industry vertical to the market, like agriculture, may have different needs from MSMEs in others, like travel and tourism. And then last but not least, we make sure that we do not forget women-led MSMEs in that process. Next slide, please. So here are some examples of the work that we have done. And each of these will have some touch point to Indonesia. On the top left is an example of a program that we had run with the Asia Foundation and AT&T, where we provided a platform called Accelerate My Business to support micro-entrepreneurs in Indonesia, in Lombok specifically in this example, so that they can leverage the digital means and digital tools to grow their own micro-businesses. On the right-hand side, top right, is the MOU signing ceremony with Kadin, as I mentioned earlier. We're really excited to see this be the beginning of a much, much longer-term engagement in Indonesia as well. On the bottom left, we also provide our resources with the ASEAN SME Academy, which I highly welcome all of our MSMEs and stakeholders that are in the audience today to check out. And on the right-hand side bottom right is an example of the program that we're running with PATA, which is the Pacific Asia Travel Association, to improve the digital skills of MSMEs in the travel and tourism sector in Southeast Asia. So I will stop here, but that's just to give you a flavor for what we feel is really important when it comes to building knowledge and skills of MSMEs.
Okay, thank you very much. So I can conclude that this practical money skills and practical business skill has to work hand in hand and parallel, so then they can build the holistic ecosystem or holistic business for MSMEs. And it's quite shocking that 25% less funding received by women-led startups versus men-led startups, which lead us to our third speaker, Ms. Nuraiza, that CEO of Medcast, that provide micro-funding for women. Please present your pointers for this morning, Ms. Nuraiza.
All right. Thank you very much, Prima, and welcome to everyone here today. Okay, so let's just start, if you don't mind, if I can have my slides. So what I'm going to talk about is how we began our initiative in Malaysia. It's still on a small scale, but we hope to be able to work with partners around ASEAN to do this. So the My fintech is called MAC which is Multiply, Assist, Donate Cash. And what we do is we're looking at driving financial inclusivity through microfunding and analytics, and we want to impact 1 million lives by 2025. Next slide, please. So how we started, it was in 2020, and in Malaysia, we had our lockdown on March 18, 2020. So what happened then was that we found people in our community who were really struggling, because I think most people did not realize that they were living hand to mouth, because the business was running and every day you had money. So when the government says stop working, then you realize that this is the realities of life. And what we did was we just got our friends to give us 3,000 ringgit. So with 3,000 ringgit, we gave it to 3 women. And then the very next month, because it was Ramadan, we saw that they made 17,000. So we were so excited to see the progress. So one person made 3,000, another person made 4,000, another person made 11,000. So when we saw this, we were so excited, and we thought, oh, this is such a great idea. Why don't we just take donation, give it out as a loan, because they pay it back, but they pay it back at 0%, because no money is made in this process. It was just to help provide a cash flow. So when we came back and saw them in June, and then we found out that there were other challenges in the community, because like one of the ladies who made the most money, we asked her what happened to what you made, and then she gave it all away, because in her community she felt like this is a gift from God, so I have to give it away. I cannot keep it. And then we realized that there is a gap in the financial understanding, right? So there is the culture or the lifestyle doesn't encourage savings. Nobody does it. So therefore, you find challenges along the way. And when a lockdown happens, this is what happens. So this is one of the things that we identified, and we wanted to work on improving. And also, like we also found things like in the community, they were like there were people who felt a little bit jealous that somebody did better than them. So also we realized the need to bring in a mentor, not from the same community, but from outside the community, so that you give women permission to do well. You give women permission to earn money, right? So that and not feel ashamed that you have earned more money than your neighbor. So these are the things that we're trying to solve. So next slide, please. But essentially, we are a technical platform, right? So what we did was that we found also a gap in our financial institution. Because for a bank to fund a micro womenpreneur, say you are just giving somewhere between 1,000 to 4,000 ringgit, it's the same amount of effort as a bank giving 50,000, and we're giving it at 0%. So what we found instead was that we could actually apply to banks to use their CSR fund, so that we use it not as a one-time gift, but we keep using it, because when the fund comes to us as CSR, we give it out as a loan. It comes back again, and then it helps another woman. So this money is perpetual cash fund, something like a wakaf. So the money doesn't reduce in value, because everybody pays it back, and there's no addition either. So you don't pay back more, and you don't pay any kind of riba on that. So we found that once we fund micro womenpreneurs, we can also take in people who are blacklisted. So sometimes they are blacklisted because they became guarantor to one of the family members, and then that loan defaulted, and all of a sudden you as the guarantor, you are the blacklisted person. And then you also see challenges along the way that people somehow made some decisions that caused them to be blacklisted. And then so our job is to see whether we can create an alternate credit scoring, so that we can create bankable womenpreneurs amongst the ladies in our community who run small business. So with this, we also look at how do we support that financial inclusivity. Okay, next slide, please. So the solution is MacCash. So MacCash is Multiply, Assist, Donate Cash. So it's a technology platform. What we do is that in order for us to come up with this alternate credit score, we do 3 things. One is that we profile. So we make sure especially that you understand your business, that you look at your numbers, and then based on your desire to grow your business, because we're not just giving money. What we want is to help women grow their business and strengthen it, so that if another pandemic happens, they will not be faced with the same challenges. And then once we have profile and we accepted you into the program, you have access to an online academy. So one of them is what we're doing with SME access, as well as we're working with Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, which is done by University of Arizona. So then with this, we also get the funding, And then after the funding, we provide mentors and peer supports, and everything is tracked using data so that we can build a sustainable ecosystem, and we can show our donors where the money is at any one time and who is it helping at that available time. Okay, next. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is how it looks like. So we have the mobile app. So with the mobile app, donors can see where the money is. So the main idea is to provide transparency so that you know that your money has made an impact, and then how many times has that money cycled, and how many people has it helped with that small donation that you made. And then also, if you are a bigger funder, what we provide would be we provide access so that you know who is in the program right now and how much are they making, because we, in order for us to do the alternate credit score, we do the profiling, and then we also track your repayment as well as your business growth. So these three items is the premise for our credit scoring. Okay, next please. So we're in here because we know there's 252 million women entrepreneurs worldwide, and then the Malaysian market is a small market compared to Indonesia. It's only 1.2 million, but we're looking at a lending size of about USD 1 billion, because now we can give up to 1K each. Okay, next slide, please. And this is one of the stories that we would like to share. So her name is Irene Mosto. So Irene came to us in August 2020, and when she came to us, we only gave her 1,000 ringgit Malaysian, 240 USD, and she was a farmer. So because of the lockdown, she couldn't sell her products because the government says you cannot go out of 10 kilometers from your area. So we asked her, like, okay, why don't we dry up the herb so that it becomes salt instead. So with the money that we gave her, she bought an oven for 400 ringgit, and then she bought the bottle so that she can do this. And instead of just working alone, she also invited 12 people in her community. Let's do this together. Everybody plant the same thing, and everybody produce the same products. And then when we came back to her in 2022, she already worked with 32 farmers, and they opened a store online. And this year she won a few awards. One of them was the Shell LifeWire Award, and then she also got funding from a few foundations because of the work she did. And she credited that to us helping her in the very beginning of her career in August 2020 when we gave her that 1,000 ringgit funding. Okay, next. So this is our journey. So we started with 3. So along the way, we've received a few funding. So the biggest one is coming next month, where we'll be getting 2.7 million to work with 665 women. Okay, next. And that's where we are. So we'll be having close to 3 million funds, and then we'll be working with at least 1,000 ladies. And so far we have maintained 0% NPL. So everybody has paid back because of the fact that when we talk to them, we tell them that this amount of money is given to you by a donation, and you are expected to give it back so that it goes to the next person. So we keep telling them that it's very important not to break the flow, because this money has been cycled a few times, so don't break it, make sure that you pay it back. Okay, and lastly, let's see. Okay, so this is who we are. So I'm the managing director, and then with that, I'm also I have an angel investor, Dr. Nikolai, and I've also gotten my first pre-seed funding from Quest Ventures, a Singaporean company, and Scale Up Malaysia. So what we do as a small company, we go around the world and we enter competitions, and we talk about our products so that we can get more traction on it. Okay, and next. Lastly, what I would like to say is that, from our own data, we know that one woman impacts 5 lives. So our goal is to increase our fund size to USD 1 million. And then we would love to work with partners in ASEAN countries and see if we can deploy the same kind of programs that we're doing in your country. And if you are a woman here, please come on board and be a mentor. Thank you very much, Puma.
Thank you very much, Anuraiza. Very interesting. All the insights and all the knowledge that we try to gain here. It's a very interesting flow of
ecosystem building. And I would like to ask questions actually to Mr. Yuriko. In Indonesia, because we talk about a lot of stakeholders that involve in this financial literacy, and we're trying to build this inclusion ecosystem. What kind of approach do you think the most effective in macroeconomy, or even the advocating this ideas of financial literacy? Who can involve in this? Who can be, if Nur Aiza mentioned about being mentors in community, what kind of leaders can be involved in this, if you can
Okay, so it kind of depends on who are we talking to, right? So for people who start the business already, we might be talking about this service will help you solve your business. Like Madcast can help you to fundraise and stuff like that. But then I was working with some community builder back in this area in West Java. They were called, this community called Swimming Squad. So young people teach women, moms, to swim. They teach them like how to swim, and they taught 200 or 2,000 swimmers already. At the initial thought, we thought, okay, so that's 2,000 new swimmers. So what, right? So 10% came out as business person. So 10% became entrepreneurs because they found the confidence. Now that I can swim, I can do anything. So that's why when we're talking about the confidence, when we're talking about how to make business not scary, when we talk about how to make finance not as a monster, it bring out like more opportunities, right? But then if we are talking to these people, like the fancy financial words, it only will scare people away, right? So you know, this baby steps. So we might be try to be more humble about our approach, and then start to set it like slowly to the community leader, and then as Matt Cash say, like one woman like impact 5 people. I believe like everyone can impact other, right? So this will start like snowballing. Like in my slides, like we don't have to show my slides though. For like some people, like when they listen to the word of finance itself, they start like having breathless, the body temperature rise and stuff like that. So it was like so crazy that I found that fact. But then when I see the other side of finance, that it brings you opportunity to expand your market. It brings you opportunity to expand your team, so you can like impact more people to work with you. It brings joy, right? So now how do we like explain this? How do we inform this information, this access of knowledge to people in a form that wouldn't scare people away, in a form like more friendly? We have several people join on board. I know this is like a crazy long journey to introduce finance as a friendlier term. We have FinPlan who do memes for financial in Instagram. It works really well. We have TMP Accounting, an agency to help your accounting stuff for your business, so you don't have to do that. You need to understand that still, but you don't have to like do that alone. So by collecting all the players, like maybe Visa and then Madcast, we have OJK, Kemenkeu to join force to collab. But then it's not only about gathering and then okay, what are we gonna do? It's about like mapping the market, like who is on what stage, like if they're like so early, and then if they're like a bit advanced or they're like expert of finance, and then who should accompany them throughout their journey, right? So like talking to say Madcast, to people who doesn't even understand business, what's the point? Like, we need venture builder for them. And then came Madcash. And then came like for business expansion for the beginner. Then we came with Visa's program, the business practical skills and stuff. And then when they try to, you know, expand more, when they evolve more about the business, they want to serve more, and then they have to comply for the rules, then come OJK to help, right? To make sure they don't mess up, to make sure they don't like, you know, again, we are so fired up, we are so passionate about what are our things, we forget to, you know, some regulation, we thought it was like to bound us, but instead it's just like to make us safe about our service. So again, like mapping all the people's level of knowledge in terms of business or finance, and then mapping who should accompany them. I think instead of one trying to solve everything, we should know like who do what, right? So then we can like address everything in the scope of our expertise, in the scope that things that we do love, so we don't get overwhelmed. Because when you're like overwhelmed and you think like you can save everyone, basically you save no one. So
Yes, that's true, that's true. Okay, after my last question for Pat Sian, I will throw opportunities for guests, for SMEs to ask questions. I only have two opportunities for questions, so prepare your best question. So, Ms. Pat Sian, what is the core different approach in, for example, you have a wide market, right? Mothers and also youth, which is a very different demography. So, what is the strategy of Visa that provide differences or anything that really like the center that we have to foundationally understand about this literacy? What kind of approach do you choose?
I think that's a very, very good question, because at the end of the day, one of the insights that we have from our experience so far working with financial literacy is that just learning is not enough. We have to have learning with doing and learning with earning. So when we work with our program partners with financial literacy programs or business upskilling programs, we very much emphasize that the way that the delivery happens has to be contextualized and adapted to what the community needs. So you will see sometimes if you look at 2 or 3 different programs that we may be running within the same market, the way that financial literacy is delivered or business upskilling is delivered, between these few programs, they will not look the same. Because it is contextualized and designed for what the community will need. That's the first point. I will give you a very, very short story about how we have seen this kind of contextualization. This is not in ASEAN, but it's still relevant. This is in India. We have a partnership in India to digitally upskill women micro-entrepreneurs in underserved areas, whether it's in the slum area or whether it's in some rural communities. And the intent is to see these women start to undertake digital economic transactions with the devices they have. So we noticed when we first did our on-site visits that the resources and one of the tools and resources that the organization had provided to the women was in the form of a book, a small physical book. That's where they use as a financial diary, which is really helpful. But I'm thinking, this is digital financial inclusion, this digital financial literacy. Why are you using a book? Why isn't this on a device? And so I asked them, why isn't this on a device? And they told me, well, the reality is, many of the women that they're working with, while they have access to a device, the device may not be theirs. It could belong to their spouses, it could belong to their children. Sometimes multiple women may share a device. So if you were to ask someone to keep their financial diary on a device that they don't own, they may not be able to keep up the learning. So that's why they use a book to start with. So it's just to provide a bit of context about sometimes why is it so important to design for the community. And the way that we approach all of our upskilling programs is to work very closely with partners to be able to make sure that design is there. And then the second point about learning and earning, which is that increasingly we need to see more opportunities to integrate an economic activity together with the learning. So we already see, for example, in Indonesia today, many of your e-commerce marketplaces have MSME, Sellers Academy, and so forth. So that's a very good example about how you can integrate the learning with the earning. So the more that we can see the fintech platforms and other service providers that are providing services, important services to the MSMEs, the more then they can start to integrate education and upskilling into their own platforms and programs. I think we can see a lot more success as well.
Okay, so actually collaboration is also something that we might potentially see as tools, right? Because as you mentioned, you work together with local communities, local platform that can contribute in this financial literacy and education that will reach, of course, small areas or remote points of communities that can be a trainer or mentor that provide these educations. Okay, I will give opportunities for 2 questions from the audience. You can mention it in Indonesia and I can translate it for you. Anyone? It's okay in Indonesian? Oh, okay. Please. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Reni from Little Pau, Bali. I was one of Ibu Berbagi Bijak participant that visa running out. Firstly, I want to say thank you to Ibu Patianlo for the program. So we have experience to join Expo in one big mall in Kuta and virtual Expo too. So my question is, will Ibu Berbagi Bijak will keep running so we can get more experience how to digitalize our product so we can more get distribution to sell. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm so glad to know that you're here. Please make sure we take a photo together after the session. We very much want to continue to work with the digital journey of women entrepreneurs in Indonesia, and we've already been running Ibu Berbagi Bijak for several years now. We are looking forward to continuing to do so. What we would love to hear from you is how else we can make this program better. So if we can continue to engage with interested partners and also with women who have come through the program like yourself, we'll be able to better design it for the future. So I look forward to talking to you.
Great. Okay, for the second question. Oh, please. Oh, okay.
Thank you. My name is Danti. I am from Bali Taru Rahayu. We produce tropical fruit jam. I would like to ask about Ibu Berbagi Bijak. I just heard about it now. And also I would like to know how we get more information about women in business, or you just mentioned about Amazon Academy, so we can learning while earning or learning and earning at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question, and I'm glad to know that you're interested in Ibu Berbagi Bijak. We have in our programs in Indonesia 2 partners who have already delivered some programs in the market. One of them is Accelerate My Business, which is the one that I mentioned earlier, which already had finished its program in Lombok. Those resources are still available, and I would welcome you to look online for the Asia Foundation. The kind of program is under the name Accelerate My Business. That definitely already has resources available. Secondly, if you are looking for the next generation of Ibu Berbagi Bijak's programming, keep your eyes open. It will be coming soon. However, if you go onto Ibu Berbagi Bijak's Instagram today, you will also see there is already quite a fair amount of information that is being shared using social media channels that can be helpful as well. You mentioned earlier on also about learning and earning, which is something that I already see many of the e-commerce platforms around the region delivering to their micro sellers. Let's have a conversation after this session and we can share some examples of what we've seen with you. I will recommend that if you have an opportunity to already look at some of the resources provided by platforms like Goto, you may find already that there is some resources out there for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, actually, I have a question for Ms. Aiza. Ms. Aiza, are you still here? Hopefully.
Yes.
Yes. Do you have plan to expand your product and market to Indonesia, and what kind of services do you think fits for Indonesian MSMEs?
Yeah, so I think that what we see in Malaysia, the challenges for women, I would say it's similar in the ASEAN region. So what we want to do would be
Take your time.
It's
okay.
Okay. So what we like to do would be to find partners that we can work with to see what we can move in Indonesia.
Okay, to find partners and see what we can do in Indonesia. Okay, well done. Thank you very much. It's a very fun, actually, discussions. I really enjoyed it. And big applause for all my speakers here. Thank you very much. And I will close the discussion now. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please remain on the stage for a photo session to all panelists as well as the moderator. Let's have a photo session because this is one of the millennials way, right? Always have a photo session. And probably if our panelists is still online and can join us, yes. We'd like to also have a photo session with you. So please join us for this photo. On 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much once again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give a round of applause to the panelists and also the moderator for this first session. Thank you so much. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, that was the first panel session on this workshop. And now let's continue to the next one, which will discuss about the inclusivity for the ASEAN members through integrated digital financial ecosystems. And now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome back once again our moderator in this session, please.
Thank you very much. Now, I will go straight to the speakers for today's second session. We have Ms. Anjani Amitya Kirana, a digital transformation specialist in Indonesia. And our second speaker will be from Korea, Mr. Keunju Lee, the CEO and the Korea Financial Technology Associations, and also the CEO of Hanpas. And the third speaker will be Ms. Novita Bakhtiar, the Deputy Director from OJK, from the Indonesia Authority Financial. Thank you very much for all the availability and attendance. I will check if Mr. Lee is already in the room. Good morning. You're still on mute, Mr. Lee. I'm sorry, I cannot hear your voice.
Okay, can you hear my voice?
Yes. Kamsahamnida. Yes, thank you. How's the weather there, Mr. Lee, this morning? It's not morning.
Very nice. some crowd, but the weather is very good.
Very good. Thank
I'm
you.
looking out the windows. Yes.
Yes. Thank you for your availability today, Mr. Lee. I will start with Ms. Anjani Amitya Kirana. You have any presentation that, okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Prima. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good, Om Swastiastu. Good morning. I think it's still morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. It's a huge pleasure for me to sit here and share perspective and learn together with all of you. As has been introduced earlier by Ms. Prima, my name is Anjani Amitya Kirana. I'm known as a digital transformation specialist, serving as a strategy consultant to some global SMEs and communities, and also as a consultant at the World Bank Indonesia. I don't know if my presentation is already on. Okay, thank you very much. It has been my interest and concern actually to enable ecosystem and collaboration of various stakeholders in order to reach financial, economy and social inclusion. And for today's session, this is the second session. The title is Inclusivity for ASEAN Members Through Integrated Digital Financial Ecosystem. And I will be serving the presentation on collaborative approach to promote financial inclusion. This is actually a keyword that has been mentioned several times from early in the morning up to now. Collaboration for the financial inclusion and stuff. Okay, next. So, what is financial inclusion? As we know, financial inclusion means having access to and using one or more formal financial services. So, it means that it's not only about we understand about financial literacy, but also having access to financial products and services, which is access to credits, access to savings, insurance, payments, and other financial products. And why is financial inclusion is important? Next slide. Why financial inclusion is important is actually, of course, to overcome poverty, and then to empower people for social stability, and then the growth of alternate microeconomy and parallel economic development. This is actually why all of us here together, because financial inclusion is very important. It's not only it's not only government task, but also other stakeholders, because the reason behind this is very big. Next. Now we can see here actually the facts and figures on financial inclusion, which is more than 70% of Southeast Asia's population is either underbanked or unbanked. Probably, I don't know, maybe some of us here considered as underbanked maybe still, so we need to improve ourselves to be included so we can be accessing all the financial services and products. Here you can see that unbanked meaning that there is no access to basic financial services. There are still plenty of it, we can see there, especially in Indonesia and also Philippines and Vietnam. There are still more unbanked rather than the bank or underbanked. Underbanked meaning that maybe we have already basic financial services, but still have unmet the needs. For example, like the credits, we cannot access to credits. Maybe here we have problems too on that. We have a good business, for example. We have a good sales, but it's still hard for us to access credits. Even though now there are plenty of financial institutions like banks, non-banks, and then now with the rising of the digitalization, there are a lot of financial technology also rising. And not forget to mention also we have the microfinance institutions, cooperative, there are plenty of financial institutions. But the numbers here still show that the numbers is more on the underbanked and unbanked. And we need to find a solution together because this is very fundamental. Financial is very fundamental for all of us, for living. Next. The gateway to financial inclusion, how to get there. We have the underbanked and unbanked, and we really want to have the unserved to be served. So the unserved, like they have no basic bank account, they have no access to financial services, they still rely on a cash economy. And with now the era like this, actually everybody must have this mobile phone, everybody have access to internet, and it's supposed to be easier to make the unserved to serve if we can collaborate together, all of us. So how they can access to banks, microfinance institutions, card companies, postal networks, financial cooperatives, and actually those in the middle that become the intermediary that provide the financial services and products must see as a collaboration to make a scheme to collaborate to serve the unserved to become served. So maybe like to see the perspective not as a competition, but a collaboration, because as maybe the earlier speaker said, everybody must know who, do what, and how. So all the targets to reach the numbers of financial inclusion to 85%, if I'm not mistaken, can be reached. Next. Here we can see the digital financial players in Southeast Asia. In Indonesia, Singapore, we have Malaysia, there are very plenty of it. They served not only about the lending, peer-to-peer lending, remittance, and then also crowdfunding, payment gateway, investment. There are plenty of it. Next. Here in Thailand, in Philippines, in Vietnam, in Cambodia, Myanmar. So we can see the opportunities here actually. All the rising digital financial players, financial technology that provide products and services. So why the numbers is still, for the underbanked and unbanked is still low? So the collaborative approach is probably one of the answers to realize this. Next. So it's really important to actually map, again, mapping about the user profile, who are the underbanked and unbanked. Okay, the user profile based on what? The geographic, maybe like specific countries, region, in the city, rural, urban, they have different way of approach on how to like communicate about this financial inclusion and literacy. And then demographic, the age, maybe millennials, and Gen Z, it's having different approach to gender, woman, men, race, religions, and even occupations. Like for example, are they migrant workers or youth gig workers, or like they have now having these communities, as mentioned also by the earlier speakers, and also. So it's really important to map, because then we can create, to ask those players, those many players, to let's find a solution to create a tailor-made programs, products, and services match based on the user profile. And then they can have this understanding to do the financial planning based on their background, because probably they have different way like that. And then also like based on religious community, for example. So there are there are plenty of ways of doing of realizing this by mapping the target markets. Next. Next, yeah. So this is the last slides of me. The collaborative approach is the keywords to promote financial inclusion, and then of course through digitalization. This involves the cooperation of various stakeholders, financial institutions, technology or digital companies, government and regulators, and also communities. And step by step that we can probably do together, aggregating this is first maybe establish a partnership. We can map, identify potential partners. So probably we have all the data on the whole, maybe ASEAN or maybe in Indonesia, all the players, all the stakeholders, what they have been done. For example, like today we see Visa have been done this and Medcash have done that. And we do not have to reinvent. We can create the ecosystem to connect one and another after we know what the user profile or the target markets. And then it's really important to develop a common language, define key terms, develop shared goals, that what we do, target population, identify, facilitate dialogue. And then after that, we can establish the trust through shared data between stakeholders. This is probably the hardest thing because data, as we know, it's if, for example, we try asking the data without providing like incentive or what can I get if I share the data to you and then what can I get and so on. So that's why it's really important to develop the common goals. That's the common goal, so they know why the data should be shared, and also the incentive. It's really important also. That's why in business to business, when they are connected, they can share data because they gain something from each other. So that's why they are open, and that's what we probably can do for this, so that we can have the data for more informed decision making. And engage with communities. This is also important. We must identify community leaders, understand community needs, develop targeted solution, tailor-made products, services, and program, partner with community-based organization, and again, there is an incentive. Incentive doesn't always have to be cash or money or something like that, but incentive can be others, other things that we can actually map. And the last one, responsive regulatory framework. Actually, after hearing from this morning up to now, it's really very positive and very motivating to see what has been done and what already created by the private companies, by the governments, regulator, private companies, and communities. And I think this is a very good start. And after that, we can have a maybe I don't know, a dialogue or something, forum, and do the mapping on the users because user profile, and we can create a lot of programs together. So next, last thing, establishing reliable financial ecosystem equals to building a circle of trust. And by this, I hope that the homework we can solve together and establish a financial inclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A very interesting presentation, Ms. Anjani Amitya. And this is from a practitioner's or a digital transformation specialist point of view. I would like to invite from the government point of view, Ms. Novita, how this inclusivity and innovations actually play a role in this inclusion building ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Prima. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for Ministry of Finance, Pak Adi Budiarso, Mbak Yani. who has extended an invitation to OJK to participate at this important forum of ASEAN. My name is Novita Bakhtiar. I'm from Indonesia Financial Services Authority, or OJK, Digital Finance Innovations Unit. I would like to focus my my thoughts and my presentation on the utilizing digital tools to enhance MSMEs' access to finance. I see that my presentation is up on the screen, so if we could start by giving the just a brief overview of, I think Mbak Anjani has already mentioned good background on the MSMEs in Indonesia, how collaboration is very much needed, and what are the things that we could do to further develop the MSMEs to empower or further develop our economy, and also as a nation, and also as a region. So what I could give as a background is we all understand that we have challenges in enhancing financial inclusion. I wanted to point out the latest survey by OJK on national inclusion and literacy last year, where it pointed out that there's 85% of financial inclusion level, whereas in financial literacy, we are still at the level of 48%. So there is a gap on that. And I think we need a strategy to address that problem. So, so before I start with the numbers here, I just want to give a quick background. So the government also has set a high target on financial inclusion, which is 90% by the year of 2024 or next year. So I think the target that is set by the government, as well as pandemic, has made us all realize that there's a paradigm shift and that digital has become the game changer, and all this boosted by the pandemic, and also the change of preference in consumers in performing their transactions, and now more and more digital. I think this is a great way to improve the financial inclusion or enhance financial literacy for the underbanked and unbanked customers that were mentioned also by Anjani earlier. So I think some of them are MSMEs, so we could agree on that. So now these numbers had taught us that there's a huge contribution of MSMEs to the national GDP, as well as the employment in the country, which is 96.3%. And further, there's a fun fact actually. There's 70 million of MSMEs in ASEAN, and out of the 70 million, 68.7 million of those MSMEs are in Indonesia. So I think this shows how important it is for Indonesia and also for region as a whole. So we hope that by empowering these MSMEs, we could further develop the national economy as well as the region. So those are what we have found out. And on the financing gap that we are all acknowledging that is a problem of MSMEs, I think we understand that there's several reasons behind that. One of them that is persistent is the lack of collateral and credit histories of these MSMEs. A lot of them are informal sectors with very few numbers of employment, no physical office, and also low capital. These MSMEs also is kind of reluctant on, complex application procedures for applying loans, for example, as well as reluctant about the high interest rates that might be applied when they apply for a loan. So, also, again, the government has tried to address this problem by encouraging the MSMEs to go digital. And there's also another target set by the government for next year, which is 30 million of SMEs are expected to join the digital economy, whereas now I think the number is still at 19 million. So it's very important we continue the effort. Next, please. Okay, so this challenge of MSMEs that are relevant to AJK is limited access to finance, which is also a very critical for MSMEs because they need access to finance to expand their business, to expand their customer base, and also even to cover daily operations of their businesses. So access to finance can determine how the MSMEs can grow further to employ more population, and also perhaps expand their access to beyond borders, like if they have participated in e-commerce, for example, they can market their products outside Indonesia. So that's a key to the business. And in inadequate infrastructure, we can see that there are some areas that are not adequate. So the MSMEs in those areas are having difficulties to grow, as well the lack of access to information and technology. Some are still experiencing this. That's why I think the suitable policy and action should be, to strengthen the talent and skills in IT, as well as other collaborations that needed to boost the financial literacy, so they know what they can get out of the digital advantage that can offer to these MSMEs. So to further foster innovation and digital transformation, it's important to reduce this digital divides between areas in Indonesia and also among ASEAN countries, for example, and also how we could help MSMEs to understand that there are ways to do or conduct their businesses through digital and make them transform to digital. So I think that's also the key. Next, please. Right, so this is what digitalization and technology can offer to enhance MSMEs' access to finance. There are some contributions that are key for MSMEs development. I mentioned earlier that there's a wider customer reach, and also if some cost reductions when you do your business through digital means, increase their net profit and revenues as well. In that way, you can employ more employees in the business. And also, there are tools, digital tools that digital innovation providers can provide, which is to improve their creditworthiness of MSMEs. This can address the challenge of lack of credit history that are experienced by the MSMEs. So, for example, it's credit scoring. They can use alternative data from e-commerce platforms or other means, for example, and this can help boost the boost the credit worthiness of these MSMEs in a way that it can create its own credit history. So once they graduate from this digital lending, then they will be eligible for formal institutions lending. So that's what we hope for. And the digital tools can also help enhance financial literacy of these MSMEs, and they could understand also the risks that are involved and how they can run the business effectively at the same time. Next, please. Right, these are the number for fintech market in Indonesia and supporting regulations. The number for P2P lending is currently stands at 102, and with over 10 million lenders and more than almost 16 million borrowers currently, and also with 51 billion outstanding loans. And P2P lending is, I think, the most common financing scheme that's used by MSMEs, and some can be as low as 2 million, 1 million, and normally they use it for their capital or business operations. So this is very useful for the underbanked or unbanked MSMEs, which before this P2P lending was introduced, they lend from their families, from friends, and other sources that are not as effective, as fast, and like this P2P lending. Another model is securities crowdfunding. It's also considered fast, affordable for the underbanked and unbanked individuals and MSMEs. A lot of young people, young generation also take part of this security crowdfunding. It's gaining momentum. Currently we have 11 organizers and over 260 publishers that are raising a fund at the moment with 567 billion per last year. So OJK has introduced several regulations in this space, which is on the digital finance, financial innovation, focusing on our regulatory sandbox, and also in 2022 on fintech P2P lending, and also on security crowdfunding also in 2020. Next, please. Right. I echo with Jenny said that domestic and international collaboration is needed. So what is that? What do we need? So for the domestic collaboration, of course, between government agencies that are relevant for the development or monitoring the MSMEs are, of course, key to the success of the MSMEs empowerment, but also at the regional level, for example, at ASEAN or international level even, financial regulators need to also step up collaboration. So their cross-border collaboration, we could, let me just point out that we have several collaboration on fintech and regulatory sandbox with two ASEAN, a couple of ASEAN financial regulators that also give a referral or recommendation for the fintech player to operate beyond their borders, to operate at our jurisdiction or vice versa. And also we have with the Singapore Authority and Malaysia. And then we could learn from each other about their market, their regulations, and we could also discuss, what we could, maybe we could come up with the common understanding on how to tackle the challenges, the common challenges, and the impact of fintech on the stability of our region. As a regulator, of course, OJK always continues to make an effort in regulating this in a balanced manner between creating conducive regulations which conducive to the innovations, but also at the same time making sure the consumers are protected and the integrity of the market is also, and stability is also maintained. So there are ways to do that, and we are open to for collaboration with several parties. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation, Ms. Novita Bakhtiar. And lastly, from other point of views, from foreign, we will go from ASEAN and beyond. So then I would like to invite Mr. Lee to give us a brief perspective on financial inclusion in Korea. The floor is yours, Mr. Lee.
Hi, can you hear my voice?
Yes, clearly, sir.
Okay, I'll start. Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Kunju Lee, Chairman of COFIN, Chauffeur Korea Fintech Industry Association, and CEO of Hantes Corporation. First of all, I would like to thank Ms. Prima Deshita, moderator, for this session, and everyone involved for organizing this meaningful seminar to help fintech companies like us navigate the current challenges. At first, I'm going to present to you about Korea Fintech Industry Association, the leading fintech organization in Korea. The Korea Fintech Industry Association is a corporation approved by the Financial Services Commission and founded in April 2016 to lead the digital transformation of Korean digital finance. Today, the association has 414 member companies. With the aim of serving as a springboard for digital financial transformation and the growth of the fintech industry in Korea, the association supports user-friendly digital financial transformation and strives to create a sustainable fintech ecosystem. As you know about fintech businesses, association members have various business models. To reflect the diversity of members' businesses, the association has organized 11 divisions. These divisions are payment, asset management, small amount overseas remittance, blockchain, financial investment, security authentication, P2P finance, crowdfunding, insurtech, cultural finance, and regtech. Among these various divisions, Hanpes belongs to the small overseas remittance division. In this division, Hanpes is also in charge of the division head. And as I mentioned, I'm the chairman of the Korea Fintech Industry Association and the CEO of Hanpes Corporation. From now on, I'll tell you about Hanpes Corporation. The fintech industry in Korea has experienced rapid growth in recent years, attributed to a convergence of factors such as government backing, a populace proficient in technology, and a well-established financial system. A notable contender in the Korean fintech space is Hanpes, a mobile payment platform that has witnessed significant uptake among both customers and merchants. Korea's proficient mobile and internet infrastructure is deemed as a crucial catalyst that propels the growth of the fintech sector within the country. With a staggering 96% of its population owning a smartphone, Korea proudly boasts one of the highest global rates of smartphone penetration. The ubiquitous employment of smartphones has led to the establishment of a substantial market for mobile payment platforms like Hanpes, which can be conveniently downloaded and utilized by any smartphone users. Hanpes is a mobile payment application that has gained tremendous popularity in Korea since its launch in 2017. But what makes Hanpes so special and why are so many customers turning to it for their financial needs? Hanpes is just one example of the many fintech innovations that have emerged in Korea over the past few years. Korea's fintech industry has been growing rapidly thanks to a combination of government support, technological advances, and changing consumer behavior. Today, Korea is home to a vibrant fintech ecosystem that includes hundreds of startups, investors, and industry players. Although there are other digital banking remittance services available in Korea, Hanpes has a number of advantages over its competitors, including its global network and range of integrations. The company is committed to continually improving its services and expanding its reach to become a trusted partner for people and businesses around the world. As Korea continues to embrace the fintech renovation, Hanpes is likely to play a significant role in shaping the future of payment in the country. The application enables users to perform transactions such as money transfer, bill payments, and purchases using their smartphones, thereby eliminating the need for cash or credit cards. These convenient features allows users to manage their finance seamlessly while on the go, whether they are shopping online or splitting a bill with friends at a restaurant. Additionally, Hanpes provides various payment options such as QR code, phone numbers, and NFC technology, giving users the flexibility to select the payment method that suits them best. Hanpes overseas remittance service employs a non-face-to-face mobile authentication method, facilitating immediate remittance from any location upon registration, with various options for receipt, such as account deposit, cash pickup, home delivery, and mobile wallet, offered for the convenience of both senders and recipients. The service boasts transparent remittance policies based on real-time exchange rate and adheres to regulations pertaining to financial transparency, confidentiality, and anti-money laundering, thereby solidifying its reputation as a reliable provider. Hanpes is currently endeavoring to expand its business beyond the domestic financial platform and transform into a composite finance platform company catering to both domestic and international clients. We have a plan to introduce novel services, including overseas remittance reception, domestic student loan payment agency services, electronic payment gateway services, that is PG, and prepaid payment services. The market potential for Hanpe's overseas remittance and currency exchange enterprise continues to expand, buoyed by escalating proportion of foreign residents in Korea, the sustained demand for overseas study and language programs, and the undergoing growth of domestic tourism. Given the ongoing trend of fintech-related regulatory enhancement, the prospect for future expansion of the business are expected to be promising. As you may be aware, highly developed financially integrated companies like us today have the potential to significantly enhance access to financial services, particularly for individuals who are underserved or excluded from traditional banking services. Through their innovative use of technology, fintech remittance companies can provide low-cost remittance services, including low fees, competitive exchange rate, and efficient transaction processing, enabling individuals to send and receive money more easily and affordably. Finally, fintech remittance companies can leverage data and analytics to gain insight into customer behavior and preferences, enabling them to develop tailored financial products and services that meet the unique needs of their customers. I strongly believe that fintech digital integrated remittance companies can play a pivotal role in promoting financial inclusivity. This is the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to your continued interest in Hanpes and also Korean Fintech Industry Association.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee. Greeting from Indonesia to Korea. Okay, I'm sorry for the limited time because I only have a question from me because I cannot provide time for the audience to give out questions. So if you would like to know more about OJK programs or maybe you want to discuss more with Mbak Anjani, we can acquaintance in after the sessions. Okay, my questions for Mbak Anjani first. Do you have any experience of collaborations between different stakeholders?
Yeah. As mentioned before, I started in 2012 actually to try to have this scheme models for collaborative approach. And one of the examples that I've done is there is a specific target market by microfinance, Sharia microfinance cooperative. It's called Inkopsha. Inkopsha BMT, they have like more than 200 microfinance cooperative members, which each members have minimum like 1,000 members, like individuals, which mostly are women MSME. And they actually have this ecosystem among them. And they have the same like shared vision, shared language. And actually banks, there is several banks that want to tap into this market. So if they go directly, then it will be a little bit difficult for them to reach. So we create like an ecosystem for like who do what and how. Because this is already established. So some banks, insurance company, and others that wants to tap into the market, they collaborate with these stakeholders like the Center of Microfinance, Sharia Microfinance, and its members. And actually, it leverage also the cooperative to become higher because then the banks can actually provide the products tailored specifically for the markets, and also they can exchange the task, like they provide technical assistance also to them. So this model, if we can map together, sit together, and for example, maybe we want to address the youth gig worker with a different approach. Also, we need to sit with who are the leaders of the communities, the experts, the players, we identify them, and I think it's very possible to realize this. Thanks.
Okay, for Ms. Novita, with the variations of consumers and stakeholders in this area, how OJK provide protections, or is there any database of what is the safe fintechs, or what is a financial digital platform that the market can use or can be pointed to that make us a safer user for this?
Okay, it's a good question because we've seen a lot of cases lately. So it's as a part of OJK's effort to reduce those illegal lending. OJK has the Investment Alert Task Force, or Satgas Waspada Investasi, who is led by OJK and composed of around 16 members of other government institutions in Indonesia. So we work together on that. On top of that, in carrying out our mandate to protect consumers' interest, OJK has in its website, we have a list of recorded or licensed lending providers that the public can go to find out whether the ones that they have been offered are legit or not. If you can't find it on the list, then it's not. So and also if consumers experience some discomfort or a victim of fraud, for example, OJK has the portal and of consumer complaint that they can go to. Also, it's available by phone. 157 is the number. So that way, I think they can. Digital literacy, digital financial literacy is very important. We need to educate consumers. We also target several segments of society. We have programs for universities to introduce our digital financial literacy modules. Also, I think in our website and our social media, by then we also have in form of games and also some videos. So I think it's important for consumers to understand what are the products and what is safe, what can they afford, and we always
all right. Sorry to interrupt, because we are running out of time due to time constraint, because after this we still have another agenda in this room, that is the ministerial fire chat session. Maybe we should finish this session.
Yes.
Okay, and do the
Thank you very much for the reminders. Okay, so thank you very much. And for Mr. Lee, my hope is we can have collaborations in the future from Korea with Indonesia, with the scheme and the flow that really, and ASEAN, of course. And I'm looking forward for the future collaborations of us. And to conclude our second sessions, and of course the earlier sessions, I will conclude in financial inclusion is the work of different stakeholders. Building trust strategy will be the most strategic approach to create a financially aware communities to be the home of MSMEs. Thank you very much. Another big applause for my speakers today. Thank you for the beautiful audience, and thank you for everyone. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please have a quick photo session on the stage. All the ladies on the stage, yes. All of the heroes on the MSMEs, ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of our workshop session. We have finished the first and also the second workshop session today. And now, before we continue to the next session, we will provide you on the screen with the QR code. So please do the scan of the QR code to access the material or the content of this workshop, as well as to fill or complete the whole feedback form. You'll be able to redeem your certificate once you complete the feedback form. And ladies and gentlemen, please also be reminded that we still have the exhibition which are happening at the lobby hall BNDCC 1. So please also stop by at the exhibition that will showcases the products of the MSMEs and the creative economy. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who would like to join us for the next seminar here in this room, because we will have the ministerial fireside chat about the financing transitions for ASEAN, which will be attended by the Minister of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia, and then also we will have the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance of Singapore, and also the Minister of Finance of Thailand. So it will be happening here in this room at 10:35 sharply. So for those of you who would like to join, you are welcome to join this ministerial fireside chat, and for others, you may also continue with other agenda. Thank you so much once again, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day. Enjoy your next agenda here during your stay here in Bali. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, so we end this session and enjoy your time. Om Santi 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 Om. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Baik, Bapak dan Ibu, tentunya karena ruangan ini akan digunakan untuk sesi ministerial firewall chat, dipersilakan tentunya bagi seluruh undangan untuk dapat melanjutkan dengan agenda berikutnya. Dan tentunya Bapak Ibu, karena sesi kita berikutnya juga akan dihadiri oleh Ibu Sri Mulyani Indrawati, kemudian juga Menteri Keuangan